All right, let's get right into it. There is a massive shift happening in business all across Southeast Asia, and it's all being driven by just three letters: E, S, and G. Now, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. We're talking about a fundamental rewriting of the rules for how companies operate, how they invest, and ultimately how they're going to grow. So you have to ask, what's really behind this huge wave of change? I mean, how did we get from a world focused almost entirely on profit to this new, much broader definition of what success looks like? That's the big question here, and in this explainer, we're going to connect those dots.
First, let's do a quick level set. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. The easiest way to think about it is like a new report card for companies. It's not just about the money they make anymore, it's about how they're making it. Are they being good stewards of the planet? Are they treating their people right? And is the company run in a transparent, accountable way?
So why the big push in Southeast Asia right now? Well, this quote from a major ASEAN report pretty much says it all. The region's incredible economic boom has frankly come with some serious side effects. We're talking pollution, strain on natural resources, and a ton of social challenges. ESG isn't just a nice-to-have anymore, it's a direct response to these very real-world problems.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the E for environmental and its new green rulebook. Then we'll dive into S for social and see how people are being put first. After that, we'll look at the G for governance, the engine that really makes it all work. Then we'll connect all the dots and wrap up by asking what this all means for you.
Okay, let's kick things off with the E for environmental. See, if you want to channel trillions of dollars into sustainable projects, you first need everyone to agree on what sustainable actually means. And that's exactly where the region's new rulebook comes into play. It's called the ASEAN Taxonomy. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a dictionary for green finance. It's this massive, collaborative effort to create a single common language. That way, an investor in Singapore and a company in the Philippines are on the exact same page when they say something is green. It's designed to cut through all the noise and, importantly, the potential for greenwashing.
At its core, the taxonomy is built around four major goals, which it calls environmental objectives. The first one, and you could argue the most critical, is climate change mitigation. This is all about tackling the biggest challenge we face, slashing greenhouse gas emissions and speeding up the transition away from fossil fuels across the entire economy.
But it's not just about emissions. The vision here is way more comprehensive. It covers three other crucial goals. You've got adaptation, which is about making sure we're resilient to the climate impacts that are, frankly, already locked in. Then there's protecting the region's incredible biodiversity and ecosystems. And finally, building a real circular economy, where we totally rethink waste and use our resources way more efficiently. Together, these four things form a complete blueprint for sustainability.
So how does this all work in practice? Well, the taxonomy uses a really simple but powerful traffic light system. Green activities are the gold standard, best in class. Red activities cause significant harm, full stop. But the most important part really is the amber category. This is a huge deal because it recognizes that a lot of industries can't just flip a switch and go green overnight. Amber creates a clear, credible pathway for them to transition, which makes the whole system much more practical and realistic for the region.
All right, let's move on to the S for social. This is all about people, your employees, your customers, the whole community. And just like with the environmental side, this isn't just feel-good talk. It's actually being written into law, creating real, tangible protections and much fairer workplaces.
This quote just nails the shift in thinking. It's no longer just about what someone intended to do, it's about the impact on the other person. This focus on the individual's experience is really at the heart of all the new social safeguards we're seeing. It completely humanizes the rules and makes them real. And you can see this happening for real, on the ground, in a place like Singapore. There's new legislation coming to tackle workplace discrimination head-on. There's a new points-based system for hiring foreign professionals, just to ensure fairness. Gig economy workers, like your delivery riders, are finally getting basic protections like CPF contributions. And the progressive wage model is expanding, linking higher pay to better skills. This is the S in ESG in action, plain and simple.
Okay, so we have new rules for the planet and new rules for people. But how do we make sure companies actually, follow them? That brings us to our final and maybe most critical pillar, G for governance. Think of this as the internal engine, the board of directors, the internal policies, the transparency that has to drive everything else forward.
And check this out. The data shows it's actually working. This chart, which is based on the Singapore Governance and Transparency Index, shows a clear, steady upward trend in corporate governance scores.
Now, this isn't happening by accident. It's a direct result of new listing rules, regulatory pressure, and a market that is flat out demanding higher standards of accountability.
So what does good governance actually look like? Well, the NUS Business School uses this fantastic acronym, BREAD. It starts with the board being independent and responsible. It ensures fair rights for all shareholders, not just a powerful few. Then, crucially, it demands engagement, not just with investors, but with employees and the community too. And the whole thing is held together by accountability through clear audits and disclosure through total transparency. It's a full 360-degree view of how a modern company should be run.
All right, let's pull it all together now. We've looked at E, S, and G in their own silos, but their real power comes from how they work together. This isn't just a series of disconnected trends. It's a deep, systemic shift in the very DNA of business in Southeast Asia. And for companies, the stakes have literally never been higher. Ignoring this shift is just not an option anymore. The risks are incredibly real, from getting publicly called out for greenwashing to suffering severe reputational damage and, increasingly, facing serious legal and financial consequences. The cost of doing nothing is now far, far greater than the cost of taking action. And look, this isn't some fuzzy, far-off concept. Just look at this timeline for mandatory climate reporting in Singapore. Starting in 2025, that's right around the corner, all listed companies have to start reporting their climate data based on new international standards. Just 2 years after that, large private companies have to do the exact same thing. This is happening now, and the deadlines are coming up fast.
So here's the crucial point, the big takeaway. It is all connected. The new green finance rules under E are steering money toward responsible companies. The new social laws under S make companies better places to work, which is a massive advantage in the war for talent. And the stronger governance under G makes the whole system trustworthy and accountable. Each pillar reinforces the others, creating this powerful, positive feedback loop of change.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. We've seen the new rules for finance, for people, and for corporate power. So the only question left for every business leader, every investor, and every employee is, are you ready?
The takeaway is simple, but it is profound. From how money is invested to how people are treated, the fundamental playbook for doing business in this region is being completely torn up and rewritten from scratch. What worked yesterday is no guarantee of success tomorrow.
So as we close out, I'll leave you with this thought.
The rules that govern money, people, and power are all changing, all at the same time. This is creating enormous risks for anyone who gets left behind, but it's also creating incredible opportunities for those who decide to lead. The real question isn't whether this is happening, but where you'll be when it does. Are you ready for what's next?